Hello, we are back, family, and we are continuing to read the Dhammapada. Last section we read was called The Fool, and I'm not a fool this time because I remember. This time we'll be reading from The Wise Man. Section 6, The Wise Man. We'll probably read a couple sections again. The Wise Man. Look upon the man who tells thee thy faults. I'm going to start this straight up again. Look upon those who tell you your faults, as if they have told you of a hidden treasure. The wise man who shows you the dangers of life. Follow that man, for those who follow him will see good and not evil. Let one admonish, and let him instruct, and let him restrain what is wrong. Admonish. I don't know what admonish means. Let's see. Define admonish. Warn or reprimand someone firmly. So like a stern father kind of role. Warn, reprimand, firm. Okay. Let the wise man admonish, and let the wise man instruct. Let them restrain what is wrong. They will be loved by those who are good and hated by those who are not. Have not friends those whose soul is ugly. Go not with men who have an evil soul. Have for friends those whose soul is beautiful. Go with those whose soul is good. Who drinks of the waters of truth, they rest in joy with a mind serene. The wise find their delight in the Dhamma. The Dharma is the teachings of the Buddha. In the truth revealed by the great. Those who make channels for water control the waters. Makers of arrows make the arrows straight. Carpenters control their timber, and the wise control their own minds. Even as a great rock is not shaken by the wind, the wise are not shaken by praise nor blame. Even as a lake that is pure and peaceful and deep, so becomes the soul of the wise when they hear the words of the Dharma. Good men at all times surrender in truth all attachments. The holy spend not idle words on things of desire. When pleasure or pain comes to them, the wise feel above pleasure and pain both. He who for themselves or others craves not for sons or power or wealth, who puts not their own success before the success of righteousness, they alone are virtuous and righteous and wise. Few cross the river of time and are able to reach nirvana. Most of them run up and down only on this side of the river. But those who, when they know the law, follow the path of the law, they shall reach the other shore and go beyond the realm of death. Leaving behind the path of darkness and following the path of light, let the wise leave their home life and go into a life of freedom. In solitude that few enjoy, let them find their joy supreme, free from possessions, free from desires, and free from whatever may darken their mind. For those whose mind is well trained in the ways that lead to light, who surrender the bondage of attachments and find joy in freedom from bondage, who free from the darkness of passions shine pure in radiance of light, even in this mortal life one enjoys the immortal nirvana. That is the totality of section 6. We're calling them sections. Section 6, the wise man, of which follows section 7, infinite freedom, of which we will continue on now. Infinite freedom. The traveller has reached the end of the journey. In the freedom of the infinite, they are free from all sorrows. The fetters that bound them are thrown away, and the burning fever of this life is no more. Those who have high thoughts are ever striving. They are not happy to remain in the same place. Like swans that leave their lake and rise into the air, they leave their home for a higher home. Who can trace the path of those who know the right food of life, and, rejecting overabundance, soar in the sky of liberation, the infinite void, without beginning? Their course is as hard to follow as that of the birds in the air. Who can trace the invisible path of those who soar in the sky of liberation, the infinite void, without beginning? Whose passions are peace, and over whom pleasure has no power. This path is a difficult path to trace, as difficult as that of birds in the air. Those who wisely control their senses as a good driver controls their horses, and who is free from the lower passions and pride, is admired even by the gods. One is calm like the earth that endures, steady like a column that is firm, pure like a lake that is clear, free from samsara, the ever-returning life in death. In the light of his vision, one has found freedom. Thoughts are peace, words are peace, and work is peace. And who is free from credulous beliefs, since they have seen the eternal nirvana, who has thrown off the bondage of lower life and, far beyond temptations, has surrendered all desire, they indeed are great amongst men. Wherever holy men dwell, that is indeed a place of joy, be it the village, or in a forest, or in a valley, or on the hills. Wherever the holy people dwell, that is indeed a place of joy. They make delightful the forests where other people could not dwell, because they have not the burden of desires. They have the joy which others find not. That concludes section 7. Infinite freedom. I just want to read that ending bit again. Wherever holy men dwell, wherever holy people dwell, that is indeed a place of joy, be it in the village, or in a forest, or in a valley, or in the hills. Wherever holy people dwell, that is indeed a place of joy. They make delightful the forests where other people could not dwell, because they have not the burden of desire. They have that joy which others find not. Because they have not the burden of desire. The burden of desire. Let's do one more section and then we'll wrap it up with that. This is section 8. Better than 1,000. Better than 1,000. Better than 1,000 useless words is one single word that gives peace. Better than 1,000 useless verses is one single verse that gives peace. Better than 100 useless poems is one single poem that brings peace. If one should conquer in battle 1,000 and 1,000 more, and another man should conquer only himself, this victory would be the greater victory, because the greatest of victories is the victory over oneself, and neither the gods in heaven above nor the demons down below can turn into defeat the victory of such a person. If month after month with 1,000 offerings for 100 years one should sacrifice, and another only for a moment paid reference to a self-conquering man, this moment would have greater value than 100 years of offerings. if one man for 100 years should worship the sacred fire in the forest for 100 years, and if another for only a moment paid reverence to a self-conquering man, this reverence alone would be greater than 100 years of worship. Whatever anyone does for a year may offer in worship or in gifts to Whatever one does for a year may offer in worship or gifts to earn merit is not worth a fraction of the merit earned by one's reverence to a righteous person. Bit of a confusing one. Oh, I was just enunciating wrong. Whatever one for a year may offer in worship or in gifts to earn merit. That's it. Whatever one may for a year offer in worship or in gifts to earn merit is not worth a fraction of the merit earned by one's reference to a righteous man. This motherfucking sentence needs some commas in that. God damn. And whosoever honors in reference those who are old in virtue and holiness, they indeed conquer 4 treasures: long life, health, power, and joy. Better than 100 years lived in vice, without contemplation, is one single day of life lived in virtue and in deep contemplation. Better than 100 years lived in ignorance, without contemplation, is one single day of life lived in wisdom and in deep contemplation. Better than 100 years lived in idleness and in weakness is a single day of life lived with courage and powerful striving. Better than 100 years not considering how all things arise and pass away is one single day of life if one considers how all things arise and pass away. Better than 100 years not seeing one's own immortality is one single day of life if one sees one's own immortality. Better than 100 years not seeing the path supreme is one single day of life if one sees the path supreme. The path of the Dhammapada. That was the end of the section called Better Than 1,000. Was it better than 1,000? You got to let me know in the comments. How are we liking this reading? That was section 8 of 24, it looks like. So we're a third of the way through. Yeah, I'm going to keep reading 3 sections because 3 sections was pretty easy to read, and we're still only 13 minutes in. So yeah, next time we're reading section 9, Good and Evil. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for being here.